Can I do your hand?
And from all the lands and earth we come, we share our dreams and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian.
Before I had seen any of those videos, I actually didn't have that many memories. I think a lot of my memories came from stories that you guys told me that I kind of made up memories for, I guess.
Every stage advance Australia fair, in joyful strains and let us sing. Advance Australia
When did you first hear about us moving to Australia? Tell me the story of.
Oh, well, when you're an executive at IBM, at some point, if you're doing well, you have the opportunity to go overseas. And it's a real privilege. And it doesn't happen, at least back then, it didn't happen as much to married women with children. So I had to make it very known that I was up for an international assignment. They came back to me 3 months later and they said, what about Australia? But I went home and I said to Peter, first of all, I was holding my breath because of course I had had the conversation with Peter and said, well, what countries would we move to? And he had said, well, we could do Japan, Australia, or Paris. So then when I went home, I was like, guess what?
And to me, that was sort of I'd always thought about Australia as a great country opportunity. Never been there, never been to Asia Pacific, but I thought it would be a great opportunity for the family because we'd already moved and we'd already been living in New York for about 2 years at that point in time. So when she came to me the second time, I couldn't say no, and I knew at that point I was going to have to tell my company that, hey guys, it's time to be moving on, or what can you do? Actually, it was March or April when I told the company that, knowing that probably in June we'd be heading over there to Australia to start looking for property and so on.
And I had to leave immediately. I left probably a week later. What was really interesting to us was Christy was 3 years old and Jack was 7. We thought, they're 3 and 7. They'll obviously go wherever we want. So we told the kids that we were going to move to Australia, and probably about an hour later, we heard Christy and Jack. Now remember, age 7 and age 3. They were up in their playroom, and we heard Jack saying to Christy, we need to go downstairs and tell Mom and Dad we are not going.
The first thing I remember is when we were told that we were going to be moving, and I was very upset. And I think I formulated some sort of plot with you to try and avoid the move altogether.
Bye-bye. Give me a kiss. See you guys later. See you later.
Have fun.
Okay, I will.
Enjoy.
All right. Have a kiss.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Okay.
I want to see the picture.
In Australia, I think the first thing I noticed was hamburger doesn't taste like hamburger. We walked into the grocery store the first week in Australia, and if you know now in the U.S., you can walk in and your selection there's 20 types of cereals and 50 types of ketchups and all the rest, and you walk into Australia, because it is a huge continent, everything is exported in from all over the world, and the selection is much more limited, and so you walk down the aisles in those grocery stores, and none of the brands were the same, none of the food looked the same, and none of it tasted the same.
There was no grape jelly. I had kids that were age 3 and 7. They didn't know blackberry jelly. I literally went up and down the aisles, filled a cart with groceries, left it in the aisle, came home with no food, and said, I don't know what we're going to do here.
I remember first getting there and going to the new school that we were in, where we had to I wore an all-gray uniform with a green tie and a hat, and I went to this school called the Bush School, which was about a quarter of a mile behind our house, so I could walk there every day. But I remember I walked there by myself on the first day, and I was in second grade. And the teacher got me up in front of the entire class to introduce myself. She was like, tell everyone about yourself and, where you come from, what you like to do. So I started to explain I was from the United States. I loved to play hockey at the time. And when I said hockey, the word hockey, the whole class burst out laughing because of my accent. And I got really upset and I started crying in the middle of class.
And they're sitting in the car. Did you enjoy Palm Beach?
Very much so. It's our favorite beach here in Australia.
It sure is.
What do you think, Koo?
I can't see her.
Hi, this is Christy. We had very much fun at Palm Beach.
The biggest surprise was how amazingly welcome the Australian people are. So we got there and we would be invited to people's homes. They would say, come over for a picnic, and we'd walk in with the kids. Everybody had all their families together. It was always a family event, every party. And we'd go in for the picnic, and you wouldn't leave till after dinner. I mean, we weren't used to this. We'd go for the picnic, and of course, the way that I was brought up, you would say, after 4 hours, you would thank them, and you would, once you were getting close to the dinner time, you didn't want to, overstay your welcome. And we said, okay, we're going to leave now. And they said, what's wrong? Don't you like our party? And I said, well, yes, we love your party. Well, why are you not staying?
After that first probably 4 months, it became a smooth transition. I mean, we were so young that it wasn't like it was going to affect me too deeply. I had 5 close, main friends. One was named Thomas, Nick. There was a kid named Zito that I was good friends with, and 2 kids named Angus. We all played cricket together. It was basically just like playing baseball for me. I took the same mindset as if I was playing baseball because I had grown up playing a bunch of wiffle ball. And there was another American kid on our team, Cam Legan. So we were the best players on the team actually because we would just hit the ball like it was a baseball.
The one thing I loved about Australia was their beer. Much better beer than the stuff we serve in the U.S. Very tasty. But anyhow, the schools there were great. In a lot of countries, you would go to an expat school where all those kids that happen to have people working in that country would go to the same school. So you had sort of all you'd have is U.S. kids. Where you went to school and where Jack, your brother, went to school, one was a public, one was a private, but it was a multitude of people from all over the world that you got a chance to meet, from South Africa, from India, New Zealand, England, the UK, etc. From all over the world, you met different people and cultures that was very unique.
Jack Arnold will step forward. First of all, there's an award, a presentation from the players.
Congratulations, Jack. Well done. All the best.
It's got all the signatures of the team there, and I got a Guernsey as well. I hope you remember us by that.
And I think the funniest thing was when we came home about 2.5 years later, it was like a time warp because we had basically just shut the house in Connecticut down, locked the key, turned the water off, and left it there. And we come back and all your toys and all your stuff from when you were 4 and 8 were still there. And at this point you were 7 and 11. And neither one of you really remembered a lot of it. Your brother remembered more than you did, but it was like going back in time because both your rooms had everything set up just as it was.
What about when we came back from Australia? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. That was the worst part because I came back from Australia and I thought, oh, I'm going to have all my friends that I had when I left. And I hadn't been here for 3 years. That hardly had any friends when I got back to school. It was a very difficult transition for me to come back. And I think that having lived in Australia makes it, less intimidating for me to travel. There's no, I don't feel as though I don't feel any apprehension. I don't feel any anxiety when I travel.
You will, your eyes will be wide open. Your experiences will be amazing. I've never met anybody who decided to do it that didn't love it.
Once you do this job or this type of experience, I'll call it, it's a lot of fun and adventure and travel. And It takes a while to adapt to come back to the U.S. just as much as it did when you left. It's not easy.
You know, you can't really grow as a person unless you put yourself in a place where you're a little uncomfortable. And that's okay, because Christy, Jack, myself, Peter, we're all so much better off because of the experiences that we had and the memories that we had.
Once a jolly swagman and by a billabong.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, it's very easy for me.
I'm putting that out. I think I would have.
So before you put this on your little thing, you better dilute and cut and do all sorts of crap.
I will.
Any of you young film creators are looking for some amazing and attractive talent, I'm always available.
It's like, you just should have left me behind. I would have been fine. Just leave me there to grow. A couple more years and I would have had a full-on act.